Do you want to increase your in-person and online class attendance? Then you've come to the right place. I'm John Sanpetro, and on this episode of the Stamping is My Business podcast, I'm going to share a case study with you. It's a case study of a coaching client of mine who was struggling with her class attendance. I'm going to share with you how we were not only able to 10x her class attendance, but we were able to 20x her profits. A couple of weeks ago, I sent out an email to my mailing list, and hey, if you're not on my mailing list, make sure to get on it. Just go to bit.ly/SIMB mail and get on my mailing list. But the email was about a case study of a client who was struggling with her class attendance. And so I'm going to read through the email with you, and then I'm going to use this podcast to actually go into a little more detail than I went into in the email. Today I want to share a case study with you about a stamping business owner who was struggling with her class attendance. The actual classes she was doing seemed to be excellent, but she couldn't get a lot of people to come. The most she ever had in attendance was 5. Now, this is something that we see all the time. We see a lot of excellent classes, but we see a lot of struggles with getting people to show up. Back to the email. We looked at what she was doing to promote the classes, and honestly, it wasn't much. She would mention the class in her monthly newsletter, and she would post about it on her blog. Her mailing list was small, and she didn't get a lot of engagement on her blog, so the low attendance wasn't surprising. In case you're wondering, she was charging $10 per person for the class. So, I told her we needed to do the following 4 things. Number 1, change the way she was emailing about the class. Number 2, engage in some separate list building strategies to get her overall list size up. Number 3, raise the price of the class to $25. And number 4, record the class. To say she was skeptical would be an understatement. However, when I pointed out she really had nothing to lose, she agreed to do what I was suggesting. First, we did some solid list building, and were quickly able to increase the size of her mailing list from 45 to 250. Second, rather than just emailing about the class in the newsletter, we put together a product launch email marketing campaign for the new class. Third, we didn't make a big deal about the price increase. Actually, we didn't even refer to it as an increase. Based on the response we were seeing from the email marketing, she engaged in some one-on-one follow-up. And finally, fourth, because we recorded the class, we offered it as an online class option as well. The results: 12 people came to the live class, and 41 people purchased the online class. We went from 5 attendees to over 50, 10 times more people than she ever had before. Even more important, though, her revenue went from $50, that's 5 attendees times $10 each, to $1,050, 42 attendees times $25 each. That's a 20x increase in her profitability. If you're struggling with class attendance, most of the time, it's not the class, it's the marketing. Try changing up the marketing, and it'll usually have an impact on the class. Okay, that was the email. And I received a lot of email replies to that because people wanted to know, well, can you be more specific? And obviously, this was a one-on-one coaching client who I work with, for 45, 50 minutes at a time, every time. And so we did a number of things. But I figured I would use the podcast just to go into a little more depth about the 4 things that I listed earlier on. So the first thing that we did was we started doing some more solid list building. She had a really small list. She only had about 45 people on her list. And guys, if you have a small list like that, it's going to be very difficult to do significant business. It just is. Your mailing list is your business's life, and you really have to make sure that you're feeding that mailing list on a regular basis. I tell my clients that they need to be adding 2 to 3 people to their mailing list every day, every single day, and growing that list. And probably one of the easiest ways to do that is through very low-cost Facebook advertising, and that's what we did here. And we were, again, within about, I would say, maybe 5 weeks or so, with a $5 a day ad campaign, we were able to get her list from 45 up to 250. That in and of itself, just putting more eyeballs in front of the offer, is going to increase your business. No question about it. When you're sending an email out to 250 people versus 25 people, you're going to get a lot more response. And when you're sending an email out to 2,500 people versus 250 people, you're going to get a lot more response, right? So that's just something to really keep in mind. Always be building your mailing list. Then the emails themselves, that was really important. So rather than just sending out one email or even just mentioning it in one section of a newsletter, we did a dedicated email campaign. It was a 3-email campaign for that class. We did a teaser email before the launch date. We did an email on the launch date that was fully dedicated to the class, and then we did a last chance email before we were closing down registration. And so what we did there was we created some excitement about the class, and we created some urgency because we'd set a hard deadline for people to register. If you don't give hard deadlines, then you're going to have, again, it'll just be a real struggle to get people to really take action. People are lazy, and so you've got to really push them to get off their butts sometimes and take action. Now, here's a little under the radar trick you can do. When you send out an email, a broadcast email to your mailing list through, say, like Aweber or something like that, you can actually see who's opened the email. You can actually see who's clicked through an email. And so if you know someone has opened an email, or if you know someone has clicked through from your email to the information page about your class, then you can very easily follow up with a phone call if you have their phone number. And that's what we did here. We found the people who exhibited the most interest because they opened the emails and they clicked through for more information, and we followed up with phone calls. We didn't tell them that we knew that they had opened the email, or that they knew, or that she knew that they had clicked through, but it was just a very casual phone call. I wanted to just touch base, wanted to make sure that you saw the email about my upcoming class. Oh, you did? Great. Were you going to sign up for that? We can get you signed up right now. And that worked. That worked quite well. You can convert a lot of people like that. And everyone always asks about the price increase. Well, what did they say about the price increase? Honestly, almost nothing. Almost nothing. We didn't make a big deal out of it, and neither did anyone else. And that's what you'll often find. When you go, it's interesting. It is a real psychological thing. She was charging $10 for the class, and she went from 10 to 25. When you take a leap like that, because that was obviously more than double the price, when you take a leap like that, people actually don't whinge about it as much as if you went from, say, $10 to $15. I see more people get upset when you have a small price increase than when you have a larger one. And again, no one batted an eye at this price increase. Frankly, it was still a bargain for what you were getting. And just so you understand, it was only a 3-card class. It wasn't anything special. But compared to what other people are charging in the marketplace and in craft stores and in places like that, $25 is great. $25 is a solid price. And no one really, is going to get too upset about that. And so we did the one-on-one follow-up. We didn't get any pushback on the price increase, and we recorded the class. We recorded the class when she did it, and then we edited that class, very light editing on that, and then gave that to the people who purchased it as an online class. And we didn't charge anything different for the online class. It was $25 no matter what. It was $25 no matter what. So the people who came to the class made the projects. The people who didn't come to the class did not obviously make projects. We didn't send them any product. We didn't give them any other discounts. We didn't give them the class for free if they bought this amount of product or anything crazy like that. Guys, when you do all of those crazy giveaways, you are devaluing yourself and your business, and it's completely unnecessary. I don't care if someone else has told you otherwise. It's absolutely unnecessary. If your marketing is solid, you will find people who will come to your class. You got to think about this in terms of sheer numbers. We had a total of 53 people take this class, 12 live and 41 online. That's 53 people out of literally hundreds of thousands, probably millions of potential attendees. It is a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of 1% of the potential audience out there. It's not that you're charging too much. It's not that you're not giving them enough. It's certainly not that you're not giving them enough for free. It's the marketing. When you sharpen up your marketing, you will get people to come. You have to be consistent. You have to be focused. Obviously, you have to be giving them a class that they're going to find interesting, but you don't have to give it away, and you don't have to bribe them to get there. You really don't. And when people are telling you that you do, it's because they don't have anything else to tell you. They don't have any other good information to give you. And I hate it when people follow that advice, because long term, it's just going to kill you. And I know it because I've been doing this for 20 years and I've watched it kill hundreds of stamping business owners over and over and over again. So we went from 5 attendees at $10 each to 42 attendees at $25 each. We ended up with $1,050 and, very, very little overhead, very few expenses on that. And that's marketing. That's marketing. So again, guys, if you're struggling with class attendance, most of the time it really isn't the class, it's the marketing. Work on the marketing. Remember that it starts with the size of your mailing list. If you don't have a large enough mailing list, your marketing can be great, but it's not going to reach enough people to give you a statistically significant number of attendees. So you always want to be working on your mailing list. Always be growing that mailing list. Always be putting new blood into that mailing list. And then really sharpen up your marketing. And do it for every class. And do regular classes. That's how you build momentum. You want to do these classes at least once a month. Every single month after month after month. If you do that, you're going to start seeing exponential increases in your attendees and exponential increases in your profitability. If you enjoyed this episode of the Stamping is My Business podcast, please feel free to like it, share it, subscribe to it, and listen to more. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, our website, stampingismybusiness.com, and on our Facebook page, facebook.com/stampingismybusiness. If you have questions or ideas for future episodes, please email them to me at john@stampingismybusiness.com. This is John Sanpetro, and I'm just trying to get you paid.